We're back here on Liquid Lunch, and we are joined here now by Donna Kakonge. Donna, how you doing?
Bye.
Finally, we've been trying to set this interview up for a long time.
I know, and I've been so bad. It's all my fault. It's not his fault. It's my fault.
Because you were going to have a book. You're writing a new book, right?
I'm writing a book. Yes, I am, and it is called Only My Voice.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting book, actually. Dare I say? It actually kind of goes into a period of my time, my personal time, when I was having a lot of problems, so to speak, and it's that journey of kind of coming out of that to some sense of stability, basically.
Yeah.
And really sort of is through God's grace, like, you know, it's amazing that I managed to accomplish anything, you know, when I look back at the book and really realize that, oh my goodness, I can't believe I did all those foolish things, and I actually kind of managed to get things done at the same time. You know?
This was the trouble you were in?
Yeah,
you were going through?
yeah, definite trouble. So, and so yeah, that's basically what the book is about.
It's called Only My Voice?
It's called Only My Voice, and I'm not too sure what motivated me necessarily to call it that right away, but it just kind of cropped up. It just kind of came up, and you know, I thought that would be a good title for the book.
I think it's a captivating title.
Yeah, it's a good title. It's a good title. So I worked at the editor is going to be published. I have previous books that are self-published.
Okay.
And this book is the first solely authored book on my part that's going to be traditionally published, and it's with Life Rattle Press.
What is it with?
Life Rattle Press, they're called, which is a very interesting title for.
Yes, there's another interesting, captivating title.
Yeah, very interesting title. And the owner of Life Rattle Press is Professor Guy Allen, who teaches at OISE University of Toronto as well as the University of Toronto Mississauga.
Okay.
So I took an expressive writing course with him, and then, you know, he was like, oh yeah, we'll get you on Life Rattle Radio, we'll do this, you know, we'll do that. And you know, at first I thought like he was just shooting the breeze and he didn't really mean what he was saying, but everything he said, he's followed through on. So I sent my manuscript to Lori Callis, who is the editor of Life Rattle Press, and it took a while to hear back, but once she felt there was something there for us to work with, we've been working on it since last year, and it's set to be published this year. So,
wow, congratulations.
And the whole editing process even was really good. It taught me a lot, like even little things like email things, like, you know, like sort of like realizing that every time you send an email and like something changes in discussion, like you should really change the subject line and like make it new, and like, you know, avoid technical problems, like even in the worst of, you know, sort of whatever static's going on in the air, like, you know. I learned a lot. So because we did basically everything by email, because she lives outside of the city. So yeah.
Wow.
So what was it about your book? We don't really know what it's about.
Yes,
other than is it a self-help book? Is it an autobiography?
It's not a self-help book. It's creative nonfiction. So creative nonfiction is basically nonfiction, but done in a creative format. So it's basically dealing with mental health. So because I've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, so at the age of 23, and I've been able to live very well despite that. And but I had many personal challenges of not wanting to take my medication, you know, so for various reasons, weight gain and sleeping a lot and just disruption to my life, basically. Like, you know, it's something you have to take every single day of your life, you know. So, and I wanted to believe that I could still live my life fully without even having to take the medication. And yet it seemed like each time I wouldn't take my medication, bad things would happen. So I was listening to my doctor. I had to learn that I had to listen to my doctor, and so that's basically. And you know, there are things that would happen to me. This isn't necessarily in the book, but you know, there was one time when I was kind of like high, so to speak, or just kind of like out of my head, and I didn't have any clothes on, and I ran across a busy street.
I've done that before.
Really? My goodness.
Well, not across, more like down the middle of the street.
I ran like right into traffic, right? So, and I mean, when you think about those things, it's like how did I not get run down? Like, there is a God. Like, I mean, don't, anybody wants to debate me on it, okay, come on, I'm ready. Because it's like, there is a God. And a number of these types of things, and like, maybe, who knows, like, some people feel mental challenges are like, sort of spiritual crises, like, sort of, and I do believe they are. So because one thing I've started to learn is faith, one thing I've started to learn is faith, and that, like, just sort of just chill and be cool, and and everything shall work out. So
are you still taking medication now?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
I am.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Every day?
Do you
still?
regret
Every
it?
single
Because
day.
I know some other people that are dealing with this bipolar thing, right? And they don't want to take their medication either.
Yeah,
and it sounds like you struggled with that. And
because now I've gone 9 years. 9 years. Actually, February was 9 years that I've been not in the hospital. And I had 16 breakdowns, between the ages of 23 and 31, roughly, 31. So, and I'm now 40 this year. So I've gone 9 years. I haven't been in the hospital. So, and only
And you
now,
attribute that to the medication?
well, I attribute it to a number of things. Like, I think that, my family is very supportive as well. And
were they always, Donna? Were they always supportive?
not necessarily, but, I don't blame them for that.
Well, they didn't understand it either, right?
Yeah,
This is a learning for everybody.
Yes, absolutely. It is a learning for everybody. So, and, I have good friends, trusted friends. I know how to operate in Toronto in such a way where, kind of walk with that kind of stoic look, so that I don't get myself into any trouble. And,
So you learned that game kind of thing.
Yeah,
You learned how to play the system.
Exactly.
Your system.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And, you learn certain ways to survive, when you can open up and then when you just can't. So who you can tell and who you can't tell, right? Or when to just not even so much tell, but when to stay quiet and when to speak, right? So which is basically why it's called Only My Voice, right? So because at the end of the day, like, my journey with dealing with mental illness is not going to be somebody else's journey at all, right? So we're all extremely unique individuals. Like, I cannot by any means speak for anybody else, right? So I know people who have also written books about mental illness and that have been published with UT Press even, and like, University of Toronto Press, and they don't take medication. So, they don't take any medication and they're functioning just fine. Power to them. I just find it for me, I've just had to accept that it seems to be what I need to do.
Well, and you know what? You're lucky that you have the option.
Well, absolutely, because I mean, Miriam and the other woman, Stephanie, that were just here on the show before. I mean, I had a situation when I was in Uganda, and I had a crisis, or I had a breakdown, and the medication they gave me was Halidol. And, for people that are in the know of these things, they understand this kind of like pharmaceutical lingo, but it's like Halidol is one of the worst medications on the market. And this is not to slam it, it's just that it's a very old medication, and it can actually make you sleep all day. Like, 7 days a week. Like, this stuff is so bad, so sedating, like, so
that's
like,
not really an antidepressant. That's just to knock you out.
Well, see, my problem isn't so much depression per se. I tend to get very high energy. It just kind of needs to be kind of balanced, So it's like I can walk from Montreal to Toronto if given the chance. Like, that's what needs to be kind of curbing my enthusiasm, so to speak.
Okay.
well,
Yeah.
Wow,
Well,
so
you're-
it's almost the opposite of being depressed.
I
It's
don't
like,
tend to really
it's
get depressed.
bipolar.
Yeah.
It's bipolar.
Okay. So that means-
Yeah, it's bipolar. Yeah. No, don't worry about it. A lot of people are still learning. There's still a lot of stigma to it. There's still a lot of there's, but I think at least things are a lot better now than they were when I was diagnosed at 23, which would now be like 17 years ago, right? So.
Well, it sounds like your energy that needs to be curbed is they haven't been able to curb it that much because not only have you
You can't keep a good girl down.
well,
That's why.
not only have you written this book, but you're what, still working on your PhD?
Yes, I'm still working on my PhD.
And what is that in, or what's
Well, I'm looking at the career aspirations of Black female high school students from the ages of 14 to 20, and in the TDSB, and the way the research works is that, by time the dissertation is complete, I can't exactly name names, I can't even exactly name schools for, confidentiality purposes, but things are coming along nicely. I'm at the stage where I'm just on the verge of being all but dissertation, which means completing my comprehensive in my department. So I guess technically I could put doctor if I wanted to, and then ABD at the bottom,
what does that mean?
And all of
ABD?
that. All but dissertation. Yeah, it's this fancy titles. My mom once said, "What are you going to school for? Just put a bunch of titles behind your name." So, but
like your last name is not confusing enough.
Yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly, exactly. I just want to lengthen it. So, but yeah, so yeah, it's. I'm looking forward to it. So technically I have funding until 2014, so which is good. I'm funded. The OISE is good to me, and
They're funding. What do you mean funding?
I'm funded, so my tuition is waived, and I get kind of like almost sort of like a stipend to work as a teacher education program assistant.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
wonderful.
Right now, that's what I'm doing right now.
great.
Yeah, which is great. It's a
Wow.
great opportunity.
No
God is good, I
kidding.
tell you. God is
No
good.
kidding.
God is good to both of you too.
Wow.
You're sitting here, aren't you? So, you know.
Absolutely. I get to work with you.
Exactly.
How
No,
lucky
you're very
can a person
lucky. You're
get?
very lucky. Look at his smile. My goodness. Oh, I know. You.
Okay, Donna, I
he's
have
a
a
good
question.
guy.
I have another question.
Yes. Okay.
I know all
Dare
this
ask it.
ABC means.
You do?
Yeah.
ABC.
ABD.
All but
Chewed.
dissertation.
No, already been chewed.
Oh, yeah.
Already been
Yeah.
chewed. Yes.
That's the extent of my-
It's my favorite kind of gum. ABC gum. Okay.
There you go.
Hey, Donna. Okay. But you're doing all your research on the
Yes.
page. What have you learned about the career aspirations of
Oh,
Black women
well,
in the school board?
Well, I'm still working on it, and I'm still working on it. I'm still at that stage where it's questions, not answers. So I'm still at that stage. So I don't quite have the answers yet.
Is
You'll have to
anything-
have me back on in 2014,
Okay.
and I'll
Oh,
give
so
you
how
the
long
answers.
does this take?
Oh, it's a journey. It's a journey. I started May 2010. Realistically, if I'm really lucky, I'd be done in 2013, late 2013. Like we're talking November
Wow,
2013.
we're talking 3-4 years.
Realistically, 2014.
And then what are you going to do?
Realistically.
Because you're going to be armed with this PhD.
Yeah.
You will have at least this new book under your belt. What
Exactly.
are you? What are you hoping to accomplish ultimately?
Well, I just want to keep teaching and writing. Nothing too necessarily like ultimately
Elaborate.
spectacular. I'm teaching at a place called Speak International Language Institute now, and English Lab Toronto, and doing some writing work, and I've had my own business since 2005, registered in Ontario. So I just want to make as much money as I can.
What's your business? Teaching?
Yeah, it's a I call it freelance communication.
Okay.
Is the subject of my business, and it focuses on teaching and writing. So I'm just basically, thinking I'll do more of the same thing. Maybe get sessional work with universities, more sessional work with universities, because you can get paid more actually that way.
So are your clients right now students?
Well, not always directly, but usually say through a school, and
Okay.
then yes, and
Okay.
then I will work with students that way. Yes.
And are they 16 to 20?
No, actually, many times they're adults. Many
Okay,
times they're
okay,
adults. So that's the
okay.
great thing about my research, because it gives me an opportunity to work with a group that I don't have a tremendous amount of experience
Okay,
with.
wow,
Yeah, yeah.
wow.
And then considering like I have little nieces and they're very young, like it's good. Like I'll be more prepared to know how to, you know, maybe get some heads up with some things, you know, especially in this new world, right?
Yes,
Because, you know, I
yes.
remember what it was like for me to be a teenager, but like, you know,
It's very, very different now.
Pre-YouTube, pre-Facebook, pre-Twitter.
Yeah, like
you know,
I was
so-
born and I had to actually write with a pen. Okay, their
Yes,
kids are born now with
exactly.
with a
Exactly.
keyboard in their hands.
Exactly.
I had to take typing. I had to
I
take
took
typing.
too. I had this teacher who would like rap, like he'd bang his ruler on the table if your feet weren't, or you're crossing your feet, or like, you know, any kind of problems with your posture and stuff, like, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like
Now if they even say that to you, you can sue them.
exactly.
It's a very different dynamic now.
I know,
It's a whole
it's so
nother world.
true.
And you know,
It's so
teenagers are so
true.
much smarter
It's
than when I was a
so
teenager.
true. It's
Like,
so
oh, they've
true.
just grown
I
so,
know,
so
my
quick.
goodness.
So you
I
probably
know,
are
they'll
noticing
slap
difference.
a lawsuit on just about anything.
Oh yeah, and they can defend themselves even.
Yeah, exactly.
The kids can defend themselves. That's how smart they are.
Exactly. It's so true.
We don't need a lawyer anymore.
I
They can be their
know.
own lawyer. It's true. It's so true.
Oh
Okay.
my goodness.
All right, Donna. So listen, when's the book come out?
Well, don't know. So,
The same time the
sometime
dissertation
this
paper
year.
comes
Yeah,
out.
no, not 2014. No, sometime this year. I would say, look around Christmas, the holidays. It should be out.
All right. And what's the title
to be
again?
on the safe side. Only my voice.
Only My
Well, that
Voice.
would be great timing if
Only
it's for
my voice.
Christmas.
Yes, I would imagine it probably would come out before then. And there's various websites like liferattle.ca. That would be a great site. You can, anybody can buy it online all over the world.
Right.
And I have my own website as well, DonnaKakonge.com, and online magazine that I keep up with. And my books can be bought online. My other books can be bought online that are already out. So yeah.
Okay,
You know,
great.
with the amount of energy you have, don't take this the wrong way, but I'm thinking, this ain't such a bad thing, this bipolar, with all this energy you have, because you are accomplishing like Superwoman stuff.
Well, you know, it's interesting because there's a movie called The Last Days of Disco, right? So it's a really actually very good film. I would recommend it. And there's a man in it. He's sitting back and and he's bipolar. And he goes, you know what? I get naturally what a lot of people pay a lot of money for.
See, there you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah,
Wow. That's
yeah. So
Now, if
yeah,
he could
I always
bottle
thought-
that?
I always thought that was a good line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
wow.
Okay. Well,
So-
Donna, we'll get you back when you get your PhD and when the
Great.
book comes out. And
Yeah.
look forward to seeing the book. It's
Great.
Only My Voice, and people can
Great.
reach you at DonnaKakonge.com.
Exactly.
And of course, the publisher, LifeRattle.ca, right?
Life Rattle Press.
Life Rattle.
Or Life Rattle is a website. Yes.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks,
Thank
Donna.
you,
Okay,
Donna.
great. Thank you, Hugh.
All
Thank
right.
you. Sandra, right?
Yes.
Okay, great.